Civilians in the eastern city of Lysychansk are being urged to evacuate now. Well, this is the last major area that Ukraine still controls in the Luhansk region. Russian forces are shelling the city heavily. The region's governor says Lysychansk is suffering catastrophic damage and the situation is very difficult. Ukraine's military warns that Russian forces are using artillery to cut it off from the south. Airstrikes were also reported nearby. Moscow is now focused on taking over the city after neighbouring Severodonetsk fell last week. The invaders claim to have already entered Lysychansk from 5 directions and are now isolating the defenders. But experts still think Russia is underreporting its true losses in the war and will lose momentum in the coming months as they have spent too much resources to gain relatively little territory. British intelligence believes Russia will have to deploy more reserve forces to the front lines. Now, these units include troops normally assigned to rear area security tasks. Elsewhere, Kiev says the chance of Russia's ally Belarus invading Ukraine is currently small. A Ukrainian official claims that Belarusian troops will not cross the border without the Russian army, and their combat readiness is questionable. But they expect more Russian attacks from Belarus as Moscow sends additional forces there.
За наявною інформацією, керівництво Республіки Білорусь продовжує надавати військову підтримку Російській Федерації. Зокрема, до Білгородської області відправлено чергову партію боєприпасів обсягом до 20 вагонів.
The U.S. is answering Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's call for more air defense systems. Sources in Washington say they have purchased an advanced surface-to-air missile defense platform for Ukraine. U.S. officials could make the announcement as soon as this week. They're also expected to provide more artillery ammunition and counter-battery radars to Kiev. Well, for more, Kieran McKillen joins us live from Lviv. Kieran, President Zelensky told the G7 leaders that he wants to end the war before the year is over. Just how realistic is his expectation?
Well, this is something that we've heard before. Ukraine's head of military intelligence has been telling Western news outlets in the last couple of weeks. His name, by the way, Kirilo Budanov. He's been giving wide-ranging interviews, and in one of those to Sky News back in May, he said that the Ukrainians could turn the tide of this conflict by the middle of August, and he also mentioned that end-of-winter deadline that President Zelensky talked about at the G7 summit. Now, you know, the G7 have said that they will stick by Ukraine till the end, whenever that might be, and they have pledged more aid and assistance to this country. And you talked about those 2 systems there in your introduction. Well, those could be, and I know it's a cliche, but those could be game changers in this, and perhaps this is what the Ukrainians are holding out for. Now, the first of these are multiple launch rocket systems. They've asked for 300 of these. 4 of these high mobility HIMARS systems have already been deployed in the country. We've seen video of them in action at the front lines, and 4 more have been pledged by the United States. And this Norwegian system, this surface-to-air medium to long range system that the US has pledged to now buy for the Ukrainians. This is a network system. There are various different mobile units. They talk to each other and they can shoot down projectiles before they hit their targets. Now, most military analysts agree that Russia is in this for the long haul, way over that winter deadline that was mentioned there by President Zelensky. And, you know, the worry for Ukrainians also must be that perhaps there might be war fatigue setting in on the Western side from G7 countries facing their own cost of living crisis, etc. That must be a fear here motivating that winter deadline mention.
Well, many thanks for bringing us those updates. Kieran McKillen there in Lviv.